Okay, guys, hold on to your seats. Ademola Lookman to Inter is a real possibility. Oak Tree, I was not familiar with your game. Yes, guys, that is the topic of today's video. Ademola Lookman to Inter. If I was making this video this morning, about 7, 8 hours ago, it would have been a different tone. I would have been playing it down, saying, let's wait for other sources to confirm this. Let's, don't believe everything you read. But since then, there's been a lot more confirmations. I'm going to show you the confirmations, and this makes this a realistic possibility. Will it happen? Let's find out. But anyway, before we get into it, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let's go back to the beginning of today, this morning. The news broke out from Corriere dello Sport, even Zaroni. I don't rate them. You guys know I rate them as a very mid-source, Corriere dello Sport. But Ivan Zaroni put his name to this news. So he had the cojones to do it, which means he heard something. And turns out he was right. I was not, really believing it. But what I did say was we've been linked to Lois Openda last few days from RB Leipzig. And today, Ademola Lookman. So to me, it goes in line with what I said on the interviews podcast. So make sure you go back and listen to the episode that I recorded last week with Gianni from the interviews podcast. And there basically was, I know Interisti are kind of fed up of this 3-5-2 and you want to change to a 3-4-2-1. But the 3-4-2-1, your 3-4-2-1 has to be better than Atalanta's one, because Zalewski isn't getting into Atalanta's starting 11. Thuram maybe, but no one of the Inter wingers gets in ahead of Ademola Lookman. But I didn't expect that actually we're going to end up getting, or be linking to Ademola Lookman. Now that changes things. Now that makes the 3-4-2-1 much more feasible, much more realistic proposition. Of course, Ademola Lookman can also play in a 3-5-2. And of course, it has Interisti very excited and dreaming, because this guy is 27-year-old, so in the peak of his career. And in 118 appearances at Atalanta, 52 goals and 25 assists. That is outstanding numbers, absolutely outstanding numbers. Dribbling, pace. We've seen him give Inter lots of trouble over the years since he's been in Serie A. So, of course, we are very excited over this news. And now let's get into whether we should believe this news or not. So, as I said, it started off from a not good source, but then more and more sources are coming out to confirm this. So, Corriere dello Sport, number one. Then, number two, here from Orazio Comando from DAZN / Sport Media Set, who confirmed the player is open to the move. He feels ready for the big jump. Closing a deal, obviously, we know it won't be easy with Atalanta. They want 45-50 million. And, let's be real. It's not going to be easy with Atalanta. Let's pump the brakes of the excitement just for a minute. They just sold Retegui for 60 plus 70 million to Saudi Arabia. Ruggeri as well to Atletico Madrid. That's 90 million already, just from two players. I mean, Atalanta are already a pretty stable financial club, so they usually don't really need to sell unless, a player asks for it. Now they really don't need to sell, and they already sold their best striker, so they don't want to sell their best player. The two best players would be Lukman and Retegui. So yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy. We already know with Atalanta over the years how much they make you suffer and pay over the odds for players. So there's two sources. Then we keep moving on to Di Marzio or Sky Sport, both of them confirming that Ademola Lookman is Inter's first choice for the attack. An agreement has already been reached with the forward. The club is ready to invest, and quite rightly, Inter Extra have put this in capitals, regardless of departures. Now, this is the one where I'm struggling to believe with Oak Tree. Like, we talked about it in the budget video the other day. If you guys haven't watched it, check it out. The Excel sheet. As I said, there is room to have room to play with, thanks to the cost savings already done with Arnautovic, Correa leaving, and the higher revenues this year from Inter. If they're investing less on salaries, less free transfers, there is room to spend money on incomings. But without outgoings, I'll believe it when I see it. And if they do, without selling Thuram, we'll have to create a chant for Oak Tree. I'll have to buy some shares in Oak Tree or whatever. Like, if they're not publicly traded, I'll find my way into Oak Tree. They need my money. They need my investment because you won me over. But anyway, yeah. So that was another source. Then we have, continuing from Di Marzio and Sky Sport. So Inter Atalanta already held talks for Lukman, according to Sky Sport. Atalanta's asking for 50. Inter won't go beyond the 40 million offer, but the forward already given the green light for the move. I'm going to skip right past this passage, though, where it says Nico Gonzalez, Jadon Sancho are possible alternatives. I mean, please do not bring those two in, or any of one of those two in as an alternative. And here, continuing Sky Sport and Di Marzio, Oak Tree has already given the green light for a 40 million offer to Atalanta. No outgoing moves are required for Inter. Atalanta has already been informed of this impending offers. Really, just come out of the blue. It's kind of reminding me almost of the Hakimi situation when we signed Hakimi, but that was like done and dusted in the space of 24 hours. And then, Inter banking on the promise that Atalanta made to Lukman last summer to leave for around 40. From Atalanta's side, there's no talk of any exit price and is asking for 50 million euros. Inter won't go above 40. And then here, Fabrizio Romano. So how many sources is that now? We're on 5 sources. The Inter has already contacted his entourage, and Atalanta have already been informed that an important proposal is being prepared. And he continues that Ademola Lookman is very enthusiastic about the potential to join Inter. And we know, I mean, if you didn't follow, I follow, pretty much all Serie A news. This was big news in Italy last year. Lukman was out of the squad for a bit because he was pushing to leave to PSG. He wanted to leave Atalanta at all costs, it seemed. But the move fell through. Atalanta played hardball with PSG. It didn't happen. Atletico Madrid are also still interested. So it won't be easy to pull through. But Lukman, once again, will probably try to push Atalanta's hand, and this time he probably will say, like, come on guys, you didn't let me go last summer, please let me go this summer. Fabrizio Biazin, who is a closely linked to Inter journalist, he says Ademola Lookman only wants Inter. He is accused of being a bit of a mouthpiece to Ausilio and Marotta, specifically Ausilio, because he is friends with Ausilio. I'm talking about Fabrizio Biazin here. And again, take this with a pinch of salt, but he says Inter not planning to move on from Marcus Thuram, regardless of the Lukman news. And then another source here, how many sources are we up to now? 6, 7, 8? Lukman wants to leave Atalanta via FC Inter 1908. The club is aware of this. Inter has not yet submitted a formal offer, but they say Inter want to submit 45 million, including bonuses, so more than what Sky Sport was saying. Inter are cautiously optimistic. And potential trump card to play in the whole deal, they like Christian Aslani, according to Pasquale Guarro and Calciomercato. So maybe he could be part of the deal. So that's maybe something that's worth exploring in the next few days. Then FC Inter 1908 continue. Inter will submit a significant offer between 40 and 45. The player's already given his approval. And then another source, how many sources is that now? Pedullah, good source in my opinion. Thuram remains unsellable for Inter. And now one more, Nico Skira says Inter already have an agreement in principle with Inter for a contract until 2030. Now, is this feasible? As I said in my budget video, there was talk of Nkunku on a loan. I said I don't really see that happening, especially that expensive loan, unless Marcus Thuram leaves. But if the plan is to move to a 3-4-2-1 formation, then you definitely have to get rid of Taremi. That is absolute priority. One thing I forgot to mention in my budget video was that Inter already made a big cost saving, not just in Arnato Di Correa leaving, and this is from this account that tweets about financial Inter things quite often, Pup. I'll translate it for you guys. What I forgot to mention, because otherwise the video was going to be too long, is that Inzaghi leaving and his staff actually frees up a lot of money because Kivu is so cheap. Well, cheap, in relative terms. He only earns about 2 million net. Inzaghi was on around 6.5 net, plus his staff, I imagine, also was expensive. So there's 10 million in cost savings there. If you free up another 6.5 plus commissions of Taremi, there's already 16 and a half of savings, maybe more. Lukman, if you buy him for 40, give him a 4-year deal at 4.5 net here, he estimates, but let's say it's 4, that's even cheaper. That is 16 million annual cost. That's just a little bit more of what Correa was basically. So it's actually very, very doable. At the moment, Inter would be in parity. Inter need to do more moves. We know we want to sign a centre back as well. So maybe by the end of the summer transfer, we're going to get rid of some guys as well, but let's say like here, he says, Pap says, there is a possibility that the squad cost increases by 5-10 million. And that's what I talked about in my Excel budget video as well. Oak Tree needs to make a decision. Inter now, we broke the 500 million revenue mark recently. We're going to be profitable for the first time ever since I follow Inter, this upcoming financial statement, whenever it comes out. Inter have the ability, if you keep the squad cost to around this 200 million mark, which is maybe higher than they want, and maybe even they might have to increase it slightly if they're making moves like this. But if Inter keep going further or keep going far in the Champions League every year, just qualifying past the group stage, the Club World Cup is a one-off, but these types of revenue levels are very much achievable regularly if you have a deep squad to compete in all fronts and obviously stay competitive in Serie A. But it actually, the winning Serie A doesn't even move the needle that much. It's the Champions League financially that moves the needle and all the things that you can get out of that. So they need to make that decision that, okay, they could, they've saved money last summer and winter. We did nothing in this winter apart from bringing Zalewski in on loan. And last summer, Jose Martinez, Taremi on the free, Zielinski on the free. They've seen the amount of money that's possible to generate and actually make profit, even possibly in Serie A, which I didn't think really was possible into over the last decade or so. I didn't think in general football is not seen as a profit-making business, but even for guys that get like a profit-focused, money-focused like Oak Tree, is possible if you invest in the squad like this. So it actually is plausible, possible. Whether they sign off on this, if everything is true that they're going to do this and keep Thuram, I feel like somewhere something's got to give. A big salary somewhere has to leave, or some big sell obviously has to happen. Whether it's Hakan, they're saying Thuram's not going to leave, but yeah, something has to happen on the outgoing. I feel if it doesn't, I'll be very, very surprised. And as I said, I'll build Oak Tree a statue. But regardless of that, it is the right move to make if you want to play a 3-4-2-1. As I said, if you want to change formation or be flexible with the change in formation, because Lukman can play in the 3-5-2 as well, you have to give Kivu the ability to do that. You can't give him a Carboni. Carboni is going out on loan anyway to Genoa, but you can't expect him to play a 3-4-2-1 if you're two guys behind the striker, Zalewski and Carboni, or Thuram and Zalewski. Like, they're just like if we play a 3-5-2, each one of our players has to be better than Atalanta's. If Atalanta play a 3-5-2, our 3-5-2 man for man has to be better than Atalanta's, or 80-90% of it, right? If you want to be the better team. So this is the way to do it. That would be the weakness in the 3-4-2-1 for us. Then, yeah, you have to maybe change the midfield. We talked about it, the Edison profile. Now, I guess Edison probably off the board. Atalanta not going to sell half the team for sure this summer. But if Kivu wants to play or wants to have the option to play a 3-4-2-1 more regularly and a different style of play, you got to deliver that to Kivu, especially if Marotta keeps saying in the media that Inter want to continue competing for titles and continue being competitive as they have over the last few years. Put your money where your mouth is. Convince Oak Tree investment has to be made. Maybe reduce salaries, but increase the squad cost. Something has to give. But I'm liking it. There's been negativity around Inter this summer. Sucic, Luis Enrique, Boni. These are not names that are really going to move fans, really. And, it's the time of season ticket renewals. And by the way, maybe there needs a separate video on this. There's been some negativity and controversy around increased ticket prices, season ticket prices, investment fund doing investment fund things, pricing out working class Inter fans. distancing themselves from the curva. But things like these are what brings excitement back for Interisti, for fans. We want to see these types of players. We want to improve our starting 11. That's what's going to sell tickets. That's what's going to renew season tickets. So whether we end up getting Lukman or not, whether it's Lois Openda or someone else, these are exciting times. And I like the fact that Kivu wants to change things up. And yeah, we're going to see a very different Inter if this is how we're going to move this summer window, with more wingers, with more dribbling, with more pace, is what you guys have been asking, dying for in my videos. I see it all the time, the comments. We need to sign this type of player, that type of player. The name Lukman has come up many times. So, Interisti, now is your turn. Is this realistic? Are you not buying the news? You think that Atalanta are not going to sell? Let me know the negativity, but I also want to see some positivity. Are you excited? Would this type of move excite you? If it's the alternative, who would be alternative B? Openda, Nkunku, Sancho, Nico Gonzalez? Please no. Let me know in the comments down below. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter. And if you do this, Forza Oak Tree.